We're now into the final few weeks of Season 14 before it all kicks off in 2025 with the new Noxus season. So today we're going to be taking a look at all the tier list updates so you know who the best champions are to play to help you climb before it's too late. Before we get into it, remember if you want to check out the best builds for all champions, then click the link below to head to our website and get various options like the most popular builds, highest win rate builds, alternative ones, or even builds from the top one-trick ponies. So let's start off with the top lane then, and in the S tier we have a ton of choice with Aatrox, Camille, Darius, Mundo, Gragas, Irelia, Kennen, Maokai, Olaf, Poppy, Riven, Tahm Kench, and of course Warwick. Riven is still super strong despite her nerfs as expected, although Ampessa's nerf saw her fall down from the S tier all the way down to the B tier. Olaf shoots up this patch too, and tanks like Tahm Kench and Mundo are still very hard to punish right now, at pretty much every single rank. Warwick is basically one of the most broken champions you can play right now though, and that's even after a few mid-patch update nerfs the day after the patch went out. But he still has the highest win rate in the game in both the top lane and the jungle. If he slips through the draft, he definitely feels like free LP, but if you don't play him, I'd recommend giving him a ban. Despite not being the most popular pick in the game, Kennen maintains his seriously impressive stats this season and remains a fantastic pick to main to climb with before the end of the year. If you want to play full weak side and absorb tons of pressure, you've got to try out picks like Gragas and Maokai. These two are just so strong with their reliable CC, their ability to outplay dives or even set up ganks for their junglers, and they just slot into literally any team comp. Irelia might not be the easiest pick to play, but when she's strong, she is terrifying to come up against. And right now, she's winning tons of games in both of the solo lanes. She's got the ability to snowball really hard, very quickly, and start diving and carrying without too much trouble. So if you don't play her, watch out for her. Overall, the top lane meta is pretty wide open as we come to the end of this year. Some picks have just been super consistent all year long, with Aatrox and Camille being two champions we've just seen so much of. So I guess if you're not sure who to main, you can't really go wrong with this pair. Into the jungle next then, and in the S tier we have Echo, Hecarim, Karthus, Kha'Zix, Lee Sin, Nocturne, Nunu, Viego, and of course Warwick again. These are just the most consistent, popular, and highest performing picks across all ranks right now, and although they may change slightly depending on which rank you are, if you can play them how they're supposed to be played, they are exceptional options. The A tier is full of great picks too. Graves and Elise moved down after their nerfs, but they're still fantastic picks to make. And then you have other solid options like Jarvan, Kayn, and Kindred. Rek'Sai's stats have also really improved over recent weeks too, so give her a try if you haven't already. Shaco is another one to watch out for this patch as his win rate steadily has climbed over the last few weeks, and he only just misses out of the S tier. Now nobody really likes playing against Shaco because you never know when he's going to appear, but if you like that kind of playstyle, it's a good time to give him a go. Wukong is sitting pretty comfortably in the A+ tier right now too. He's gathering some popularity and proving that he's still a strong option to play. He brings tons to the table with easy clears, effective ganks, and fantastic team fighting with his ultimate. Lee Sin and Viego continue to be two of the most popular junglers you can play though, and they're both having fantastic splits to end the year. Kha'Zix is another top choice too, and late bloomers Hecarim and Echo have also joined the party recently, as brilliant S tier junglers you can play. In the mid lane next then, and in the S tier we have Ahri, Galio, Hwei, Irelia, Qiyana, Sylas, Syndra, Vex, and Viktor. Yes, Viktor shoots up to the S tier after showing he's a little bit OP after his changes and updates. And if you've played any game of League at all this patch, I won't really need to explain why. He's just insanely strong, it's as simple as that, and this shows in his crazy pick rate and very high ban rate too. Consistent mid-lane staple picks like Ahri, Sylas, and Hwei continue to be heavily contested and played in an insane amount of games across all ranks. Their stats are super solid, especially considering the sheer number of games played, and if you play any or all of these, you've probably had a ton of experience in the various matchups and situations involving them. Qiyana, on the other hand, takes a lot more practice than some other mid lane champions, but her stats right now are really high, and in the right hands she can easily 1v9 with huge ults, quick one-shot combos, and tons of stealthy mobility. Vex is still a top low elo pick that isn't quite as popular as you go towards higher ranks, even despite her win rate still keeping up, but she's just such a good option into those specific matchups where her passive can completely shut them down. Just be a little bit more careful picking her into those range scaling mages. Galio has had a brilliant few months and has bounced in and out of the S and A tier for quite some time now. He's a strong pick into so many different matchups and drafts, and I don't really know about you guys, but whenever I see a Galio locked in on my team, I'm always happy with that. Overall, the mid lane meta has been fairly open for most of this season, and you can kind of just play whatever you like really, and this has been the case for most of the year. The main exception is that AD assassins haven't really been quite as dominant, but that's due to a combination of mages being so consistent, a lot of tanks being played, and Assassin's itemization just not being quite as strong as it once was. You can still win plenty of games with picks like Talon, Zed and Qiyana, but realistically there's not too many other AD options in the mid lane, as even AP assassins like Akali have just been much more common. Let's move on downstairs then and check out the bot lane. And for AD carries in the S tier we have Ashe, Draven, Jhin, Jinx and Kog'Maw. Yes, Ashe, Jhin and Jinx remain the most popular and most consistent AD carries to play across every single rank, with Caitlyn also being S tier in high elo but A tier for the majority of ranks. Draven in the hands of a one trick is having a fantastic patch too, but maybe just don't first time him in ranked. Kog'Maw's stats are absolutely insane, with one of the highest win rates in the game for any AD carry, although he is a bit more draft dependent and needs the right support beside him. Corki's still in a good spot too despite his nerfs, and especially so towards higher ranks, he's still extremely popular here. Speaking of higher ranks, Ezreal is a great pick to play this patch too if you are good enough to pull him off consistently. There's also plenty of options in the A tier this patch too, with some returning AD carries popping back up here like Misfortune, Sivir, Smolder, Tristana and even Vayne. Then of course we have to mention the amount of mages that are also performing really well too here statistically, despite obviously being a lot less popular than the marksmen, like Hwei, Karthus, Lux, Seraphine, Swain, and now Viktor too, because as we mentioned earlier, he's a little bit on the strong side. AD carries in general have been in a bit of a weird spot recently though. They started the season in Split 1 absolutely broken, with insane damage and basically the whole meta revolving around them. Then as the year progressed, we've seen more changes to their items and runes to the point where they look completely different to what they started out with. At the moment, it's all about consistently, efficiency, and basically just hoping that the enemy team don't stack too many tanks, because you'll need to play absolutely flawlessly if you want to take down those Tahm Kenches. Let's see what 2025 has in store for the bot lane, and I for one am hoping they might reconsider their changes to the cut down rune and the Giant Slayer passive on Lord Dominus regards, but who knows. Finally, let's have a look at support then, and in the S tier we have Janna, Lulu, Nami, Poppy, Pyke and Senna. The enchanters stay on top here really, with a few exceptions like Pyke and Poppy, who prove that in solo queue, the Rift continues to be their playground. Bard is an amazing choice right now, especially so towards higher ranks with the roaming meta in full swing, and so many games opting to play weak side in the bot lane and focus on void grubs and getting the top side of the map ahead instead. AD carries can AFK farm and scale, as they often take quite a while to come online, but a fed Darius with 3 items is going to be an instant problem. Speaking of roaming, despite several attempts from Riot to nerf Poppy, she still has a crazy win rate in the bot lane. She can engage early as a support and look to snowball, or she can just wave goodbye to her AD carry and start hex flashing over walls, tower diving enemy solo laners, and zoom around the map causing absolute havoc. There's a load of other strong options to go for right now too though, depending on the draft, what your comp needs, what matchup you're against, or what AD carry you're playing alongside. So realistically, you have loads of choice. Maokai is a great CC heavy tank to set up dives and teamfights, Lux or Vel'Koz are in a great spot for poke and burst, Leona and Rel are still solid engaging options, and Braum is still handsome and bold. Plus there's also Sona and Soraka as those sustaining scaling powerhouses. But possibly the best support in the game right now is Lulu. She's having a super successful end to the year with seriously impressive stats across the board and so many different comps and lanes you can play her into. So if you aren't sure who to pick or who to main, she's one of the best options you can try. So that brings us to the end of our patch 14.24 tier list update video with just a general overview of the meta and a few reflections of the year. We are super excited for the changes coming in 2025 with the Noxian invasion and the new objectives and mechanics being introduced. We wish you all the best of luck on your final grind this year, and we also wish you a happy holidays over the break. So let's get on the grind, enjoy some festivities along the way if you do celebrate them of course, and get ready for another huge year of League of Legends. Thanks for watching guys, we'll see you all in the next video, and as always, take care.